episode of Lost Like Mike. I'm your host, Mike Gonzalez. It's getting kind of old. I know last week I recorded on Monday. Normally I put this out on Sundays. It's kind of, when I say it's getting old, I'm recording this on, what is it, Tuesday night now? Yeah, Tuesday night. And it got pushed back. So I'm just getting, tired of having to come on here and make it, reasons why. But, I was talking to some friends the other day, and we're in the 80s now, the episodes. And, that's a lot of commitment. That's a long time to consistently put it out on one every Sunday. And there's been a couple times where I, for whatever reason, came out on that Sunday night or the Monday night. But for the most part, I've been pretty good about setting aside some time on Sundays. This past Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday, so my show got moved. My performance was moved to earlier in the day, a little pre-Super Bowl show. And so threw off everything. And so I intended on recording the show on Monday, but last night I perform every other Monday as well, and I just forgot or neglected to think whether it was that Monday or not. And so here I am, Tuesday, and I wrote down some notes. I'm pretty proud. Usually I have it on my dry erase board, but I've been working and doing different things, so I haven't been around. Tuesday's an odd day for me to be here trying to make this all happen. Anyway, I last week, same thing. I recorded on Monday, so because I had just a horrible weekend because I had COVID. I titled it, I Caught the COVID. I initially meant I caught the COVID, but I spelled it wrong, and so I just went with it. I left it on all the titles. Meaning, like, I posted it to one, so I said I'm going to go ahead and post it to consistently, consistency being the important factor there. So, I don't know. I didn't want to overthink it anyway, but yeah, that's where it came from. I misspelled it. But so last I spoke, I talked about, I don't know if I told you all about the Paxlovid. I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me that I needed to take it because I was at risk. I was in the at-risk demographic. The doctor said that I was, because of my weight. It just, that'll light a fire under you if anything will. If, your medical practitioner tells you that it's directly affecting your health in a very quantifiable way. Like if I was just a few pounds less than I would be, and having already suffered through, I wouldn't have to take this drug to minimize the chances because I'm in a weight class that says that I'm at risk for, severe complications. Speaking of which, I don't know if I talked about, the doctor called me up when I was home. I had already picked up the prescription for Paxlovid and said, hey, so I was thinking, you need to not take your cholesterol medicine, your heart medicine, because it could kill you. All right, have a good week. Take care. Bye. I mean, it was really just like that. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what have I already taken it? Like, you just remembered? What is this? And luckily, I take my other medications in the morning. So I planned on starting the Paxlovid and everything the next day. So I just, and I was like, so 24 hours is a good enough time in between taking my medicine. So I planned on taking starting the Paxlovid and everything that following the next day. So I just, and I was like, so 24 hours is a good enough time in between taking my medicine. So 24 hours is a good enough time in between taking my medicine. So 24 hours is a good enough time in between taking my medicine. So 24 hours is a good enough time in between taking my medicine. So well, you know, well, is that enough time to like dissipate, like to get out of my system? You know, am I still at risk? Should I monitor like heart palpitations or something? I mean, am I looking for some sort of side effects? And she was like, no, you should be okay. I'm pretty sure. I was like, oh, okay. I love your confidence. I'll just go ahead and take this experimental, you know, push through FDA approval drug, and we'll roll the dice and see how it goes. But on a side note, I was terrified. You know what I mean? Like, because I was trying to read up on the side effects and things, and everything, like chemical interactions with it. It was like chemical interactions with this drug can lead to like severe complications up to death, you know. And I was like, okay, great. So what does that mean for alcohol? What does it mean for vitamin? I mean, I know supplements, anything like, well, you know, I pretty much didn't want to even drink Diet Cokes. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, I was going to grow fins or something. I don't know. But obviously I'm alive to tell the tale. But I will say this, like Paxlovid made me loopy on the first couple of days, like getting used to it or whatever. And I never felt right. Like stomach wise, like nauseous and just headaches, and didn't feel good at all. But the side note was that I didn't touch a drop of alcohol, and partially out of that's like when you take antibiotics and you don't want to nullify the potency of the antibiotics, you don't drink alcohol. I figured it was just a safe bet not to mess with it. Which is, I was watching an episode of a TV show, and they were describing withdrawals from alcohol, and they're saying, he was like, you feeling pretty nauseous? And the guy's like, yeah. And I said, well, that's to be expected. And I'm like, well, I guess that makes sense then. You know, on top of the Paxlovid and the anxiety and all this other stuff, it's also alcohol withdrawals. That's great. So it's been 9 days since I've had a drop, and it's one of those things where I don't know. You know, I was watching this one video, and it was like early signs of cirrhosis of the liver, and I was just not, you know, absentmindedly, you know, scratching my arm and stuff, and the video said like itchy arms or like itchy skin, and I was like, what? Wait a minute. You know, it's one of these things. I know that Big Brother's watching. I know that there's algorithms, and that you're being listened to, and that the things that pop up on you on the different platforms of social media and different things kind of cater to what you know are what's going on in the conversations and the things around you. But I've always felt that, even since I was little, that this sort of common thread of, you could be thinking about something and maybe mention it one time, and then it'll pop up in the context of the life that you're living on that day, right? Most often, I've talked about it on podcasts of it being talked about in a sermon, on a Sunday morning sermon, where the guy seems to tap into what you're going through in your real life. But I've seen it, you know, I've notable examples were, you know, on episodes of Oprah, or on a sitcom, or you know, things would just like I was talking about how I had stopped drinking alcohol during this time of being sick and not knowing where I was going to go back to it. And then I get these different pop-up things from like Post Malone saying that that his doctor said his liver was bad and that he was taking a break from drinking alcohol or stopping drinking alcohol. Like I said, on the episode of the television show that I was watching, then it was like, I'm not going to remember this actor's name, but another actor was just talking about his thoughts on mortality, and then the interviewer was like, "Did you come?" Oh, it was Jamie Lee Curtis. She was like, "Did you come to that realization after you stopped drinking, or?" And the guy was like, "Absolutely." Anyway, but it's very strange because it feels like it's tapping into some sort of collective consciousness where you feel like people are talking about things that are on your mind without being prompted. Like, I'm not doing a search on the internet for like ways of avoiding drinking alcohol or what have you. It's nothing like that. Not even so much as talking about alcoholism or a problem with drinking or nothing. There's no searches at all. But yet all these things are sort of popping up and contributing to the narrative of what's going on in my day-to-day. I mean, one thing, I drink all my water in the shows, but I also bought a bottle of lemon juice and honey. And I personally, I felt like I was singing just fine, like as strong as, could be expected. Usually I would justify drinking by saying, oh, I need a little bit of that whiskey to burn through that, But another interesting thing is there's difficult songs that you sort of get that liquid courage, you know what I mean, to sing. Well, I could sing that one normally, but I have to be like a couple drinks in to get that song, kind of mentality. Well, when you're not going to drink, and I've done like 3 or 4 shows now over the past 9 days. I did Thursday, what would that be? Yeah, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, so 4 shows, and I have been unable to shy away from those songs. It's pretty much just you're gonna do it. This is me talking with my partner, guitar player, cousin Vince. It's just, your voice sounds good, man. You just got to sing it. Just go for it. And so it's an interesting dynamic to do it sober. So, I mean, I wouldn't know if it's better or worse. Of course, you think you sing better, you think you perform better when you're under some type of influence, but it is what it is, right? Whether the quality is better or worse, I like to think that I really consciously try to channel the I don't care spirit of inhibitions be damned, just whether it's good or not, I'm still gonna belt it, and I'm gonna pretend like nobody's watching kind of idea. Anyway, so it's Valentine's week. Matter of fact, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. And my wife got a basket and all of these cards and knickknacks and stuff for my daughter for Valentine's. It was just so super sweet, right? And I was telling her she should be on the podcast with me right now because I was giving her a hard time because she signed the card. She put a card with this basket. I mean, it's way above and beyond. I think you get like Christmas, birthdays, Easter. That's about it. Let's walk you around for Halloween. That doesn't make me a bad dad. I'm just saying I would give her, a little stuffy or something, maybe a flower. I just took her to a daddy-daughter dance and gave her a bouquet that was gorgeous bouquet of flowers, you know. Anyway, we can make arguments about Valentine's Day all day. But, which I'm drinking LaCroix water right now. To be honest with you, I'm running out of my soda, so there it is. Anyway, my point was, when she got the card, she signed it, you know, Happy Valentine's Day, we love you very much. And then she put Mom, Dad, right? And I gave her a hard time. I was angry about it. Well, not angry. I mean, let's be real. I was just like, oh, that's cool. I wanted to sign it, you know. I wanted to put my little I love you message too. You know what I mean? Like, that way, if she looks back on the card, she sees, you know, my little message and love, Dad, right next to Mom's message. And when she said an interesting thing, she said, this isn't a competition, right? Well, if that's the case, then you should have let me just sign it and then be done with it, right? Like, I don't get it. Anyway, she's not here to defend herself, so I won't go hard in the paint on it. I won't give it too much of a hard time. But I'm right and she's wrong. I'm just kidding. It was Super Bowl Sunday, and I really didn't have a dog in the fight. I knew it was over when my wife had the game on and my daughter sitting there eating her dinner, like her nighttime dinner, whatever, and the game's on, right? I was coming in from the game was about to start right there. I mean, all the pregame festivities on the screen, and my wife says, "Oh yeah." I said, well, "Since when? Why is the game on? You know?" And she said, "Oh well, you know, Taylor Swift's boyfriend's going to play right now." And I knew she was joking, partially because my daughter was there, whatever. But how much of that is really joking? Like, I know they said they increased viewership. You know, she has to get some credit. A lot of people, you know, I've been saying it forever, dude. Like, just all the Grammys or the American Music Awards, the different things, wherever she's at, the camera always pans to her, and she always has her wide open, you know, awestruck face, or doing some kind of dance. And all power to her. She's been in this game since she was a kid. This is what she's used to. This is normal to her. This is how she, you know, it's her relationship with the media. It's her relationship with the public eye. She overcompensates for the fact that she's constantly being scrutinized by being like, I don't care. I'm gonna act how I want. I'm gonna be real or be myself. So she overcompensates. It's what it is. And I don't fault her for it, right? People want to see it, right? There were drinking games based on how many times they mentioned her name or showed her or what have you. And she's not going on there and saying, look at me. It's par for the course of who she is and how she goes about doing things. I mean, you know, between that and the conspiracies of the NFL being scripted and being fake, it just, for me, it really wasn't going to be about football. You know, everything was, I just thought that San Francisco, as far as the times that I ran into their fans and that I read it, I saw the fan posts and different things and the way that players acted towards other players. I'm not a fan of their attitudes and the way that they present themselves. I'm not saying Kansas City had me any different, you know, and I think it's kind of funny. I think that the Kelsey brother, that's the Eagles guy, I like him better. I would have rather the Eagles been in it for that reason, if it was just based on having, you know, a good attitude or whatever. But I guess the brothers are pretty similar. And people say, well, okay, but shouldn't it be about football? And well, yeah, of course it's about, I'm just talking about, karma and vibes, and it may seem silly. I'll tell you what, I was going for Kansas City, right? In a sort of lesser of two evils, pick which one, you want to go for. Because all season long, I hate Kansas City fans. Don't get me wrong. If you're a Kansas City fan, understand the type of Kansas City fan that I'm talking about here. Before there was Taylor Swift, before there was the Kelsey boyfriend, any of that, it was a bunch of bandwagon fans that were all about latching on to a winning team and Mahomes and how he's going to be the next big thing. Let's buy the jerseys, let's buy everything, and we'll hitch our wagons to these winners kind of thing. No loyalty, no long-term, not been around, just fresh, brand new. And this is coming from a peripheral observer, somebody who just plays shows on Sunday and watches people show up, fronting like, they know anything about Kansas City. Like, what state is Kansas City in, and they're, I think they were making fun of somebody who was talking about it being that Kansas City is in Kansas. But anyway, and if you don't know what Kansas City is, that's okay. Look it up though, because I want you to own that you don't know where Kansas City is. It's Kansas City, Missouri. Anyway, what I'm saying though is yeah. So there's a certain element of disdain for that kind of that type of fan, the fair weather fans that are just along for to say that they're part of the winner. Like somehow they rah rooting for somebody, and like I understand picking the winner when it's a bet, and like, yeah, I had Kansas City win for $100 or something like that, right? That makes sense to me because you're putting your money where your mouth is, and you believe in it well enough to make a wager. But anyway, I mean, there's so much about football, like fans that kind of drive me crazy. Like when you sit there and you're playing music and you kind of get to watch the way people watch football. And, people pick their butts or scratch their behinds because you as a musician don't exist sometimes in their world. You're just like kind of a part of the scenery, the way that a wait staff is, or the way that, a fountain is. It's just there for your, amusement, right? So sometimes you get to be a fly on the wall and see, the game's going on and they hike the ball, and there was for example, there was a lady going, run, pass it, and then all right, good job. As if and saying, you see how I said run the whole time, and then he really ran. It's like he heard me saying run, and he did it. You know what I mean? You could see that in the that's the subtext. That's what she's saying, but not really saying it, but that's what she's saying, right? Like, oh, throw it. Ah, he didn't hear me say throw it. I was saying it like 10 times really loud. That's how it is watching people watch football, to me. And you can always tell if they're losing really bad and it comes to halftime and they pay their check and they leave. That's a fair weather fan. They're not here to support the team, win or lose. Early in the season, a lot of the Dallas Cowboy fans around this area, they were all about Dallas. But whenever they would lose or whenever they would be losing at the half, boom, it would turn into a ghost town. It's just the weirdest thing, man. I don't know, that just, you could tell there's a certain amount of that fair weather fanness going on. Or the people that are just like annoying when they watch the game. You have those people, like those people that yell at the screen and think that, and then you have the coaches that are like, well, see what they got to do there, blah, 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 blah. Or the parrots that just say whatever they heard on the NFL, Inside Edition, or whatever they call that, the TV shows about this stuff. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was saying how that's how her husband is. But she says it like with a bit of admiration, like, he could be a coach, because he knows all this stuff, and he always, every time we watch a game, he always knows what they're really supposed to be doing. And I'm like, okay. So instead of making like the six figures, like multi-million-dollar contracts, well, I'm sure they make hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? These NFL coaches. We should Google that and find out exactly how much. But yeah, instead of making the big money, actually coaching the team, these NFL, he would much rather work, at his 9-to-5 job. I totally get it, because that kind of, he wouldn't, doesn't want to have that kind of commitment to an NFL team. I understand, it's fine, but he could do it way better than the actual NFL coach. Got it. Okay, cool. No problem. Sounds good to me. And you missed your calling, man. You should have been an NFL coach. Obviously, because you said pass it, and he ran it. And if you were there, he would have passed it, right? Stupid. Anyway, it's frustrating. I like playing football. I like being a part of the team and doing something. But I did realize when I was watching the Super Bowl, I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I watched like the first 5 minutes of the Super Bowl and I shut it off, because I do have these weird superstitions. I get this feeling at whatever point I have to stop watching. And I feel like that's when they're going to start scoring. And like my wife was saying, I stayed up and watched that. She stayed up and the game went into overtime. And I said, no, I'm not watching it, because in my mind, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to find out that they win. And if I honor whatever silly instructions that I give myself, like shut the game off right now, or let's watch it, I think that's no different than the lady that says run, or throw it, right? Thinking that anything I do, right, wearing my underwear inside out, or whether I shut the game off and put my head under the pillows and not watch one more second, like anything I do has any effect whatsoever on the actual game. I'm seeing that now very clearly. Maybe I didn't before, but I do now. But it's true, though. Sometimes I'll be playing the shows, watching a game on the screen, and I'll say, if you tip the band, they're going to score by the end of the song, right? I'll make a joke like that. But then when it actually happens, then people are like, okay, well, then I'm going to tip when, this is, it becomes like a part of the superstition or whatever, which I think is funny. Superstition's a funny thing. I used to sometimes I would get sick before shows, you do different things in a ritualistic way to get the same results as you did the time before. That's the kind of mentality it is. Maybe there's something to that, Even if it's just if it's just part of your, if you psych yourself up for it and say, well, I'm wearing my lucky socks, I paced the room back and forth until the very last second. I got down and I tied my shoes right before the show started, whatever it is. It's all a part of building up the confidence, with all of the special tools of confidence outside of the formalities of warming up and stretching and whatever. It's just, I'm sure everybody has their rituals when it counts. I haven't even looked at this handy dandy paper here yet. I said I made notes to talk about. It kind of threw me off because I was getting ready to set up everything, and then I thought to myself, what did I talk about on my last show? Like I did it on Monday, so it was after I already had COVID. It was after I already went to the doctor. It was after I had. Well, speaking of which, let me tell you, I think the treatment of seniors in America is ridiculous. Okay, my mom stays in a senior home right now. It's a long story of how that all came about, but the bottom line is that I've offered for her to come stay with me, to which she declined. She does not want to live with me. No offense to me, I'm sure, but it was her prerogative. So she lives in a senior community. But she says it was Thursday. It was late Thursday or early Friday. She started feeling symptoms of what she felt could be COVID. Okay, so she calls the one nurse that comes and brings her scheduled first round of pills or whatever she takes in the morning, and she says, "Yo, I think I may have COVID. I need to see the head nurse. I need somebody to come by. I need to be tested for COVID." And the nurse says, "Yo, you want me to go get somebody?" And she says, "That's what I'm saying." So the lady goes and gets the head nurse. Her head nurse comes in. She's like, "I'm having a hard time breathing." Paching, this is just key information. I want this to be just recognized as being notable information. I have a hard time breathing. My head hurts. I have a congestion, and I really think I have COVID. Okay. Now she's in her 80s, y'all. So this is definitely one of those demographics like me with my heavy weight. She's a senior citizen. So then you would think, right, that this is a place where people pass away from COVID, 2-3 people, when it comes like a wave and that the quarantine lockdown, the senior center. I mean, that's what we're talking about here, man. They didn't come all weekend. They never tested, never came back again. And on yesterday, not even a doctor, it's a PA or physician's assistant, comes in, says, "Well, we'll put you on a breathing treatment, but no sense in testing you now. No sense in doing anything about it now." It's like, come on. She went through the hard. It was kind of like a similar instance of what happened to me in that I asked on that Friday to be tested, and they said that they had no room for me to test. And then I came back on that Monday, and they're like, "Yeah, whoever told you no that on Friday was wrong to do that. They were watching over, they were from an outside clinic or whatever the reason why they were doing that, But anyway, I was talking to my mom, very frustrated about it because she doesn't want me to call and raise a stink with these people. But I mean, that's a liability issue when you're talking about a senior that expresses to you that they feel that their symptoms are of the severe illness, and then you throw them for crazy or blow them off. I mean, yeah. She told me a bit of sad news, and I talk to my mom every day, we try to chat every day as I'm driving home from work. It sets a good habit, allows us to catch up and talk about things that um, are going on in our life and stuff. But periodically over the last couple months, it's really been for the past year at least, occasionally she would talk about this woman that stayed in the room next door to her. And as with a lot of senior homes, there are individuals that are suffering from dementia and from Alzheimer's or different and different ailments that affect their minds. And in this particular instance, in many cases this happens, but the woman would sometimes just scream for help over and over and call for anybody to come. And sometimes I would be speaking to my mom and I would hear her, this woman in the background, just yelling repeatedly over and over for help, And this is the type of individual that there was really no comfort. There you could try to comfort them, but there was really no way to, or at least not that was presented to them. There's nothing that would consistently help this individual. My mom says that on some days that she would find herself going into this room and trying to speak to the woman, trying to rationalize with her, trying to make it better. And whether she was not lucid enough to understand or whatever the issue is, just there was no signs of it stopping. But she informed me that this woman passed away last week, and I began. One of the thoughts that I've been having recently, because I can't stop thinking about her, is whether or not these folks that live in these senior centers, some of them don't have people that come. And I wonder what will become of her. Does she have family that to speak of? And I don't know. Quietly at my shows, I've thought about her, and it's one of those things where it's you pray about her, or you dedicate a song internally. Anyway, you know what I mean? Because in a weird way, certain people at this place where my mom is staying take some relief at the fact that this woman that was screaming day in and day out now there's no more screaming. It's quiet. But there's also somebody that was in pain, that was struggling, that now is at peace. It's just a heavy thing to think about. And it's weird because it's not weird, but when we talked about there being these things, when I think that's why, like on certain shows that I watch, I'm hearing these great speeches about heavy things, things that matter, like that Northern Exposure show is really good for that. They really do delve into a lot of that, really unique views on mortality and the importance of seizing the day and living and making the most of our time. And let me see if I'm actually going to look at this paper. You know, as I don't know if I've talked about it. I don't know if I talked about it. I might have talked about it on the last episode. That's such a horrible thing to say, but I think that when it comes to like having a direct flow of consciousness for me to just share my thoughts, which is really all this is. You know, I was talking to my mom about that. She was telling me, you know, when it comes to being something that you're having to work towards, right? Like anything worth doing takes time and effort. But what I'm saying is like, if there's not any quantifiable like reward, like I'm not getting paid for doing these episodes, for sharing my thoughts, but you can't really physically see what the benefits are. But to me, it's very beneficial. I'm exercising all of these thoughts and these things that are bottled up in me, where I want to get them off my chest and speak about into the world. Whether people listen to it or not is kind of besides the point. But hers was to say, when I run into issues, you know, like sickness or obstacles that sort of get in the way of it being an easy process, does it ever seem like should I still do it, or should I just skip it and wait? And I was trying to explain that it's hugely beneficial to me. It's worth the time and effort and energy that I put into it. If anything, I would like to put more time and energy into it. But the point was to say that, to be able to say that I did anything for 80 weeks in a row, right, and counting, is a huge testament to discipline and to commitment. And if you think about it like that, then you could, you know, you could apply that concept to anything: diet, to exercise, to fitness, to learning an instrument, to writing a book, whatever it is, that you are capable of committing your time and energy in a consistent fashion and doing something consistently for an undefined amount of time, right? So in that sense, yeah. And of course I do apologize for it coming out late, but you know, you have to understand that I don't have a team behind me. I don't have people helping me out. If anything, I have to make sure everything gets done for everybody, and then I can carve out some time for me to do what I want to do. So anyway, one last thing, and then I'm going to call it for this week. I was at one of my shows. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, if I already told this, it's okay, because I don't remember if I've said it before. So maybe it's a different spin on it. All right, just kind of go with it. But there was a young girl, and she was at one of my shows with her buddies. It was two young girls and a young guy. And the guy comes up and he's like, you know, my friend has a really good voice. She's a singer. She's a songwriter. She's a young songwriter. We're enjoying your music. Do y'all, you know, do you write, or, you know, do you have anything that you... And I started to say, you know, about cutting my own music and writing my own songs and stuff. And there was a moment she sort of, all three of them seemed like sponges, these really young people. And they were like looking at me like they wanted wanted to know like something. They wanted to hear something that like advice or but what occurred to me, or what strikes me as strange, is as an adult, as somebody that's been in this industry for a very long time, what is it that makes me shut down and have that a negative self, like the negative self-esteem to feel like they don't want to hear advice from me? Why would they care what I have to say about this subject? And and that defeatist attitude, it was startling to me, because I was going to speak. I was in the process of opening my mouth, and all of these thoughts flood into my head of, why would they want to hear what I have to say? But they asked if I would play one of my original songs in the next set. So I said, you know what? They are expressing interest. And so all I said was a few things, but what I walked away with was this idea. And it's funny because on one of the shows that I was watching, somebody talked about how in different cultures older folks are revered for their wisdom and for their life experience and all this kind of. It's a very common cliche, or a very common idea anyway, that older that with experience and all these things, that there's a value to the things that you can put upon like the next generation. I mean, to be honest with you, it's really just the inability of the younger person to listen to that and want to apply it. I talk to my son all the time about that. Like, I could tell you what would make it easier, but unless you're in the market for that, you're still going to want to do it your way and make the mistakes that you are going to make. But for what it's worth, here's a little bit of advice, right? It's like you have to put it with like a grain of salt. Like with these kids, what I ended up telling them was, I said, listen, because she kept saying, I dabble. I mean, I've just barely started and all this kind of stuff. And I said, listen, I said, look, and I pointed at the guy and the other friend as well. I said, we all have a song in us. We all have art or ideas or emotions. We have things that we want to express. And it's our duty to find a way to get it out, to share it. And I said that, and I shared an idea that it come to me from outside of myself, which is, and I've heard it echoed by everybody from John Mayer to lots of different artists, to Dave Grohl, to just a lot of people, that you sort of tap into this outside energy that that the music, that the essence of what's going on in the world is flowing all around us. And if we just put away our egos and be open to be conduits of that, then that's where it's really at. That's where you get the good shit. That's where you get the good quality songwriting, the good quality art, the stuff that really taps into the emotions of the times, of the people, of the world around you. Because I think that when you open yourself up to it and you be ready with pen in hand or whatever medium that you express yourself with, and just be ready for that influx of whatever that is, and I think it hit her. I hope that she listened. I hope her friends listened. They ended up sticking around listening to the music and thanking me for sharing my thoughts or whatever, but I don't know. I wish somebody would have told me to set aside my ego when I was young, to tap into that collective expression. Anyway, hopefully next Sunday I'll be able. My daughter's about to go and have a full body MRI on Friday. I mean, that's why the whole white beard's coming back. They're gonna put her to sleep because she has to be still for an hour, and that's the part that bugs me. But they assured me it's gonna be like a twilight anesthesia where she'll just nod off and be still. If you ever watch my daughter sleep, she rolls around quite a bit, but I'm sure they'll strap her down or do whatever they have to do to prevent that. But I tell you, man, the child has done a lot of time in hospitals and doctors' offices, and an unfair amount of anesthesia for somebody so young. But yeah, she has some pains that they're trying to get to the bottom of in her legs and her ankles and stuff, and so we're just ruling out some different things, and so she needs to have these tests. And so if you'll keep her in your prayers and kind thoughts about whatever way you want to phrase it, but put that good energy out there for her, that all the results will come back good and we'll be okay. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. And message me at lostlikemike@gmail.com, or comment on this or any other video, or on whatever platform that you listen to my podcast on. And I will chat with y'all next week. Thanks. Bye.